Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today we're going to take on some more questions. I've found that a lot of people are enjoying this, so I don't mind taking a minute out of my day to answer some of the questions that show up on my forums and share that knowledge with you to help you gain an understanding of those fishing reels, their manufacture, and well, just generally the art of fishing reel repair and service. Try to help you along, help increase your knowledge, and help you to keep reels fishing again. So the first question that came in says, I have a Penn reel. He says a Penn Fierce 3000. Well, this is a Penn Battle 6, but the question involves an anti-reverse problem that they're having. He says that I have a goofy anti-reverse. Sometimes it works, sometimes it lets the handle go backwards. Do you know how much it would cost to fix it? Well, I think the more important question here is what's going on and can I fix it myself? And that's what they said. Is it easy, or is it easy to fix myself? Well, yes, it's easy to fix yourself. If you work on these generation of Penn reels, whether it's the Battle, the Fierce, the Pursuit, or whether it's the 1, 2, or 3 or more versions of the reels, if you are experiencing that problem, you can fix it. There's two solutions to it. The first one is to try and repair. The second one is to replace. In order to work on that anti-reverse reel, you need to understand what that is. The anti-reverse is a cylinder. It's a sleeve with a spacer in between and a series of ball bearings that line that cylinder. Those anti-reverse clutches need to run dry. And the reason I took that spool off is it's very commonplace for folks that do a intermediate tune-up or oiling that they drop some oil on the axle shaft here. They just take their squeeze bottle. As they're oiling the bearings on both sides, they take their oil and they oil the axle shaft. That oil seeps down onto the anti-reverse clutch that's in this reel. When that oil gets on there, well, it's a friction-driven clutch. Oil eliminates friction, and oftentimes you get that skip. So the best thing to do is remove the rotor. You're going to have to remove your axle shaft and the rotor. Then there's a collar that's holding the clutch assembly in place with your gear sleeve. Remove all of that and dry out the clutch. So you want to take paper towels, cotton swabs, whatever you can, run it inside the loop and clean off the inner race, or the gear sleeve if you will, and reassemble, and that sometimes will restore the anti-reverse function without having to replace it. If you want to replace, you follow the same practice. You take the rotor off, remove the anti-reverse clutch, assuming you've ordered a new one, and just put the new one in and put it back up. There's several variations on the anti-reverse clutch. This is a single unit that's on that one. There's a single unit that's lodged inside of here, in this housing here, single unit with that sleeve. And then there's also units that, well, they kind of look broader. Some of the older ones are first generations of those clutches. They're very big clutches. The roller bearings are more exposed, but the idea is the same. Dry off those roller bearings, reinstall, see if that fixes your issue. If it doesn't, then you're going to have to replace that. So enjoy that one. Okay, next one came up. This one is a Mitchell 306. It actually asked about a Mitchell 302. No problem. This one applies to the any of the even numbered Garcia Mitchell reels, including the 300 and the 308. I think I have a 308 around here somewhere. Here's your 308. How do I change it from a right-hand version to a left-handed version? Sorry, you don't. So Mitchell started manufacturing reels with left-handed cranks because the majority of folks in the world are right-handed folks. And when you mount a reel underneath a rod, you generally use your dominant hand or your right hand to control the reel and the rod and to reel it or crank it back in with your non-dominant hand, your left hand. Well, If your dominant hand is left-handed, you're controlling the rod this way, you would prefer the right-hand crank. How do I know that? My grandson's right-handed, prefers the right-handed crank, so I'll take his word for it. You cannot change the Mitchell even-numbered reels, the 306, the 302, the 304, the 308, all of those. You can't change those over. Mitchell understood the issue that was involved, and they made odd-numbered reels that are right-hand cranks for that part of the population that would prefer a right-handed crank reel. So for the 306, you have a 307. For the 308, you have a 309. For the 300, you have a 301. Everything in the reel is identical in terms of line capacity, gear ratios, and the like, except the odd-numbered reels are mounted for a right-handed retrieve, not a left-handed retrieve. Not just Mitchell. When you find Ambassador reels or the like, you're going to find that the even-numbered reels, this one's a 6500C, well, they indicate a right-handed crank. Why is that? Because this reel is mounted on top of the pole. On top of the pole, you're going to use your left hand to control the pole and your right hand to reel if you're a dominant right-handed person. Just kind of works out that way. But they also make a left-handed version for these reels, and those would be the 6501C. So just look for the odd numbers. The odd numbers generally are designed as reels for the person who has got a dominant left hand, and for the right-handed folks, it's the even-numbered reels. There are some older reels that you can switch over. This is an example. This is a Damn Quick 550. This does have a handle and gear set drive that can be changed over. Not an easy process, but it can be done. And of course, the modern reels today, and this would be, well, this isn't a modern reel, but an indication of it, have handles that you can switch over on both sides. So the problem being addressed there is really dealing with the more vintage reels that were manufactured for one hand or the other. Well, if you like these kinds of videos, I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel. And if you do subscribe, please use that notification button. Not only do we talk about knowledge transfer in the form of answering questions and the like, we solve issues by presenting you reels on how to repair them, how to keep them running, and how to give some a second chance if they're problematic. And that's the next question here. He's got a 4,000 sized reel. It was on a boat in Cuba for 4 hours. It got sprayed down once and hit by a wave, and it seized essentially from the salty breeze. The reel was brand new. They took the reel apart, they tried to fix it, and looks like the salt in there got in there on the pinion gear and stuck everything, got it all screwed up, kind of deal. Well, we've had several go backs and forths on this. 4 hours on a boat, even getting hit by a wave is not going to seize a reel. Turns out, yeah, it was 4 hours on the boat, hit by a wave, and then put into storage over the winter, and that's where you're going to run into the issues. What's the best thing to do if that happens to you, whether you're in the surf and swamp a reel, drop a reel on a beach, God forbid, that's going to have sand involved in it, or if you're in a situation like this, you're on a boat and just get a lot of water in it. The recommended solution to this is always, after every fishing trip, particularly if you're in salt water, to flush your reel down at the end of the trip. Take the reel off of your pole, put it in a pail or a bucket of water, put that water over the reel so that it's completely submerged, and let it sit there. You can let it sit there overnight. It's not going to hurt things. Don't hose it down. If you hose it down, there's access points on reels where, particularly if you're using a saltwater conventional reel, if you're hosing it down, the force of the water is going to come inside the spools here and could actually blow out the oils and the lubrications that are in there. When you do put that reel into a bucket of fresh water, do not put detergent in there. By its nature, detergent is going to eliminate grease, You don't want to lose grease. Just use fresh water. You'll be surprised in the morning when you come back to that pail. You will see dirt and debris on the bottom of that pail, I guarantee you. And that's what flushes out of there. So best way to avoid the issue of getting swamped, keep your reels flushed out. You're not going to avoid the swamping, but you can avoid the damage that they had there as a result. Okay, we'll do one more on this. This one just the other day I showed a group of reels that came in, and folks wanted to know what happens to all the handles on the reels. Bobby out in Tennessee sent a bunch of reels in, no handles, right? And I said, boy, that's a good question. So a couple of things happen when reels don't have handles on them. The first is that the handle is broken. Those handles break easily, particularly if they're dropped. And that happens a lot. Somebody will just have a fish on, drop it on the deck, shatter the either the shaft of that, which is very common, or break the knob or some other piece of damage, and they remove the handle. Sometimes that handle has gone on to give other reels a second chance. Perhaps the reel has seized. It's not worth repairing. Folks will take that and they will use that as a direct replacement on a reel. And then sometimes folks anticipate that they're going to have another problem with a broken reel. The reel no longer works. The handle is still working. They put it into a box and hope that maybe it'll fit another reel someday. So a couple of things happen with those handles. I'm always amazed at how many of them do not have handles, but almost all the time those have been designated as parts reels, and those handles have gone on. If they are working, they've gone on to help restore other reels or keep them running. One more, and that is any suggestions on where I can find a main gear for a BG30 that I have. And that's a parts availability question. So where do you get parts on reels that no longer provide the new parts support? Now, some of the reels, Shimano's, Daiwas, Penns, they continue to have support on reels that are 20 or 30 years old. You can still buy springs, screws, bells, and the like. But most of the time, by today's standards, manufacturers are going to support their reels, or they're not going to support their reels. Let's start with that. The ones that support the reels generally are dedicated to a 5-year parts strategy. That is, that they will support the reel for 5 years after production, and then you're kind of on your own. There are manufacturers out there. Zebco is one of those that comes to mind. Quantum and others. The parts are just not available for certain reels. The reels that typically sell for $20 or $30, they're viewed as disposable reels. One of the reasons why the reels cost less is that they don't maintain parts inventory, don't have money tied up in those reels, and don't provide any parts support for them. But back to that BG30. There is a secondary community out there. I often recognize them when I get asked this question. I said, go to eBay. There are a lot of eBay sellers out there that will take broken reels, part them out, and sell the pieces and parts so that other people can continue to use their reels and repair the reels that are broken, and that's probably where I would direct them. The other way to find parts for an older reel is to buy a donor reel. I've explained that from time to time, but a donor reel is one that's broken, or one that you just simply find at a flea market, a garage sale, a yard sale, whatever it is that's dominant in your area. And you'll find that these reels are available. If you get them at the right price, you can either use your reel to repair the one that you have, or use the one that you buy as a donor reel to repair the one you have. Generally, that's a game time decision. It's based on the cosmetics of the reel and the overall feel in terms of how the reel is working. Of course, if it's sold as a parts reel and doesn't work to begin with, then you probably just want to grab the part that you need. In this case, it's a main gear. Try and do the heart transplant on that one and get your BG back and running. A word of caution on these: if you do destroy a main gear on any reel, whether it's a spinning reel or a conventional reel, try to replace the pinion gear in addition to replacing the main gear. Why is that? Oftentimes when that main gear explodes, teeth go flying. teeth get into the workings, and that track on your pinion gear is usually the first place those teeth will land, and they can scar up that pinion gear. So don't just think that the solution is the main gear. Think in terms of trying to get a pair, if you can, get the main gear and the pinion gear, and that should ensure the success when you make that conversion over. Also, if you've had teeth break inside of a reel, make sure you get all of those teeth out. You need to disassemble the reel completely. You need to flush it out. If you have an ultrasonic cleaner, that's a good way to vibrate those teeth out of the places they may hide, and you'll be guaranteed that it's you can fish comfortably, not worrying about whether any of those teeth are going to jam the mechanisms in the future and you have to do it again. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the question and answer session here. This is episode 9. If you search my channel and just put in questions, you should be able to pick up episodes 1 through 8. And I do appreciate the positive feedback on these. I'll continue to gather these questions, do these videos, and if you have a question that you would like answered, leave it in the comment section, and maybe next time up, when I gather a critical mass of these, I will try to answer those questions for you, provide you tips and techniques, and some general guidance on reel repair. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, thanking our first responders, our police, fire, safety, and rescue before I leave, and thanking you for watching and for making the channel what it is, an interactive forum to help keep fishing reels going, how to give them a second chance. Have a great day.